Oh, the music's off.
We probably should get rolling, shouldn't we? 'Cause it's
Yeah,
10
we're going to get
after.
it going here. Okay, let me get my chat up. Here we go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Just want to thank everybody for being here with us this afternoon. The four of us are really excited to be able to come together and support each other, especially right now during these crazy times. So I want to start by sharing a little bit about why we created this webinar. And basically, over the past few weeks, the four of us have had a lot of conversations with people with varying experiences through the shelter in place and coronavirus and things like that. And we really felt a need to offer a forum for emotional support as well as to share resources for wellness and recovery. And though the four of us are primarily in the recovery and addiction treatment space, we noticed that there was also the other side of people that were not necessarily struggling with addiction or substance abuse, but just needed emotional support and some tools for general wellness. And so that's really where the webinar came from. And of course, we wanted it to be a platform where people could be comfortable and also do a long Q&A and not have to worry about doing their hair and getting all dressed up. Even though I do appreciate all the people that did get dressed up anyways, that's still awesome. And so before we get into our intros, I just want to go over some quick housekeeping stuff, logistical stuff. So for everybody that's joined us, if you do have questions at any point during the presentation, if you want, you can utilize the Q&A feature of Zoom. So you can load those questions in at any point. And after Frances is finished with her presentation, we will go ahead and address all those questions. And that can be questions for Frances or myself or Shannon or Vicky or all of us. So please utilize the Q&A feature. It's been really successful in our past webinars. Also, if you want to pin your information in there, make sure you do that in the chat so that we can share that with each other. And then also, just so you guys know, if you can't stay for the whole thing, that's totally okay. We record the webinar, so we'll blast it out in an email to everybody. And also, we put it up on YouTube and Facebook and all that good stuff so that you can catch it later. You can share it with friends or anybody you feel could benefit from it. I don't necessarily feel the need to say it, but I kind of have to. But let's keep it a clean and productive space in the chat and with the Q&A. These are delicate times, so let's just be sensitive to one another. I think that about wraps it up for the housekeeping stuff. So I'll go ahead and just pass it over to Shannon. Shannon, you want to do your intro?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm Shannon Clay. I work with Discovery Behavioral Health, and we provide mental health, substance use disorder, and eating disorder treatment for adults and adolescents. We have locations all over the United States. I've also, probably more than that, just been in the field for about 32 years now. Of addiction treatment and mental health, and I so much love having the opportunity to help humans with healing resources. And so that's us coming together on this webinar in this format during this time. Hopefully we can share with everybody resources that help you thrive, not just survive in these situations and in other situations in our lives, whether we're in recovery or not. And then the other thing I want to say is that this webinar series is designed for every person, not just people in recovery, or not just, I mean, it could be your grandma, your neighbor, your client, if you're a treatment professional, other treatment professionals, anybody. We just know that we have a wealth of resources that we wanted to share. And so we hope that everybody will pass the information on and come to the webinar and also give us feedback. Jeremy will talk about that later for our survey, but grateful to be here and grateful to have everybody with us today.
Awesome. Thanks, Shannon. Vicky, you want to do yours?
Sure. I'm Vicki Lucas, founder of Equanimity Interventions. I do interventions, transports, interventions with adolescents and adults. Sorry about that. Adults and adolescents. I do crisis interventions, substance abuse interventions, eating disorders. We also provide transportation, safe transportation, sober companion, and some case management. Anyways, right now during the coronavirus, I'm doing interventions really affordable. So just trying to make it happen for everybody. I think people are really afraid right now to spend money. There's a financial crisis going on, but mental health and substance abuse are on the rise. So I just want to make it possible for people to get in. I even work with people on Medi-Cal and help them get in. I mean, everybody needs to be in treatment for whatever their thing is. Anyways, I'm going to pass it over to Jeremy. I'm a little exhausted. I've been working since 4 o'clock this morning. Thank you, Francis, for doing this. I'm really excited to hear you.
Awesome. Thanks, Vicki. And yeah, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jeremy Miller, and I represent an outpatient in Los Gatos called Embodied Recovery. And we are accepting clients in person right now. We have very, very small groups and a very, very big space. So we're really lucky that we get to take people in person. And for people who are a little sketched out about that or possibly at risk for contracting the virus, we also have telehealth. And I'm also working with a detox in Hollister that most of you are familiar with called Bright Future Recovery. And we are also open and accepting new clients. So I'll make sure that you get all of our information so that if you need us for whatever reason that may be, you can reach out to us. And like Vicki said, I'm going to be sending out an email, and in that email, there's going to be a survey. It doesn't take a lot of time, but we really appreciate the feedback so that we can curate content for you guys that is valuable and helpful. And like Shannon mentioned, last week we had a bunch of clients on here that joined and got to experience the webinar. So please, if you do work at a treatment center of any type, feel free to invite your clients. It doesn't max out the seats or anything like that. You can join as one person and have them all with you. And I think that presentations, especially like today's, will go a long way with the clients. So we definitely encourage that. So now I'll go ahead and introduce Francis. Francis is a functional nutritionist and integrative grief practitioner working in the field of addiction and recovery. The focus of her work is educating and assisting those with substance use disorders on the importance of nutrition for sustainable sobriety. Boy, that's a mouthful. How'd I do, Francis?
Really good. Thank you.
Okay. All right, good. So before I pass it over to Francis, you guys don't forget about the Q&A. Go ahead and load all your questions in there and we'll get to them afterwards. That being said, Francis, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jeremy, Vicki, and Shannon. I really appreciate you, excuse me, having me here. This is a very trying time in the world. It's a very serious time. So on that note, I'm going to take every precaution, even though we are on a Zoom call, because I think it's important. And I figured out a fun way to have a good time with this. So hopefully you'll be able to hear me this whole time. What do you think of my goggles? All right, you can wear this when you go to Costco and they're gonna say, what is your deal? And you're gonna say, I gotta have fun because this is crazy, all right? Okay, now let's get serious about this. So I am a nutritionist and I am what's known as a functional nutritionist. And what I do is I help people make the connection between what they eat and how they feel. And I like to say I help them do that one bite at a time. Food is very important and it's the sustenance of life. We need air, we need food, we need water. We also need connection with others, which has been, dysregulated right now in order to survive. But food is the main thing. And the fact that we've been disconnected, I want to go there very briefly because this is where the grief work comes in. We have had our foundation rocked and we are in global grief. We have had a loss of our life of what it was 6 or 7 weeks ago. And we are all still trying to navigate. And I was thinking about this the other day. And to me, I always wanted to summit Mount Everest. And when you get to base camp, you got to stay there for a couple weeks before you get acclimated, as you get acclimated. And one of the things they have to do is go across those Kambu ice fields, right? You ever seen that? Google it. It's wild. And they have to practice that for 2 or 3 weeks before they make their trek across that and then start to go up the mountain. We didn't get any acclimation time at all. We are suddenly in social distancing. We are suddenly not able to run to the market. You know, you go to the market, it's not a quick in, quick out. You got to stand in line. You got to wait till they let you in. And then when you get in there, everybody's got full carts, which is a good thing. But then you got to wait for that. So we're in this whole new pattern of life. And it's an ambiguous loss. It's a loss of, you know, our control in a way, a loss of our life as it was. And that can stir up the grief. And there's a wonderful man named Francis Weller. I like his name, Francis. He wrote a book called The Wild Edge of Sorrow. I don't know if you can see this. And I heard him speak the other day, and the way he talked about it is that grief needs communication. We're not communicating as the way we used to. And he said, as we are taken out of our normal lives, which is you can't see sporting events, there aren't any, we're not going to concerts, you can't go to the restaurant, all of these things that are happening. And how do we land in this? And he said, grief is like an unwelcomed house guest. I thought, wow, that's a pretty good way to put it. And what we need to do is set a place for it at the table and then begin to welcome it in, because this is what's really happening. And we're never going to go back to what the world was. It's going to be a new version of normal. And what is that version of normal? And so my goal today is to help you understand some things that you can do so that when you get to the other side of this thing, you're a better version of yourself. And so right now, one of the biggest things we need to do is to boost our immune system. If I have a strong, robust immune system, I'm not going to be a good host for this COVID-19. All right, I'm going to wear my gloves and my mask and protect myself, but I also have to take care of the food. And on that end, I'm going to just bring up one thing that's really been bothering me, and it's this: the toilet paper. I don't care how much of this you have, it ain't boosting your immune system. You know, you can have as many rolls as you want, but it's not going to boost your immune system. So, you know, make sure you have enough and then get to where you get the right foods in you. So that being said, one of the key things is to keep our blood sugar balanced. Now, I can't see all of you guys, but if you could raise your hand, raise it just at home. How many of you are hungry when you wake up in the morning? How about my panel there? Are you guys hungry when you wake up in the morning? A little bit, not so much. It depends on the person, okay? But the bottom line is our blood sugar is low in the morning. And if you're suffering from anxiety and angst from all of this and you're a little depressed, you actually might need to have a little breakfast in the morning. If we're drinking coffee, and we'll get to that in a minute, but you know, coffee will suppress your hunger. So you can drink the coffee and go a long time without eating. But all of a sudden, when you get off the coffee and you got to eat, chances are you're not going to be grabbing something that's really good and healthy, right? You're going to be grabbing the closest thing you have. And this is the scary part. We really have to practice this social distancing. And that means social distancing from your refrigerator and the snack drawer. And if you've been to the grocery store and you're doing this big shop, I thought about this a few weeks ago when this first happened. Everybody's out there shopping, loading up the carts with everything. And then what did you do? For the first 3 or 4 days, you just ate all day. And you bought foods that you probably don't normally buy because you were buying emotionally. Our emotions are driving our eating. So we have to make sure that, you know, we're fueling our body with things that are going to help us, not harm us. And so if I bought all those things and brought them into the home, that's a tough one because they're there. I don't know about you folks, but when that food's in my house, I can hear it talking to me. Come on, Francis, I'm over here. Remember now, you bought the cookies you said you weren't going to buy, or God help me. This is a disclosure. I bought the bag of the coconut clusters from Costco. And there's nobody here with me. I ate them all myself. And, you know, those things, sure, it's a healthier version, but no, I didn't feel good afterwards. So you got to watch that because certain foods have a drug-like effect on us, just like drugs do. And sugar is the legal drug, okay? It only takes 3 to 4 teaspoons of sugar to lower our immune system for 4 to 5 hours. Isn't that amazing? 3 to 4 teaspoons. Now I have a little visual for you, okay? This is just sugar, but this is a little tiny glass jar, and that's 3 teaspoons of sugar. And that's how much it takes to lower your immune system for 4 to 5 hours, okay? Now, studies show that we eat 150 pounds of sugar per person per year. That's an S ton of sugar, Okay, and it's coming in on everything. And I'm not a mathematician, but if you were to amortize that out, I would have to say that our immune systems are constantly compromised. And we wonder why we're susceptible to bugs and germs, like the COVID virus and the flu that comes every year. Okay, and so when you want to look at your labels, because I think it's very key to start reading your labels to see how much sugar am I consuming, because it's in everything. And if you want to figure out teaspoons of sugar, you just divide 4 into the grams of sugar on any ingredient label, and that'll tell you how many teaspoons of sugar is in there. So when I do lectures for the clients, I'm showing them a label that shows the ingredient label of a bowl of cereal. If you just have the 1 cup, and there's 12 grams of sugar in that 1 cup of cereal. Now I haven't put any sugar on it yet, and I also haven't put any milk on it. So if I divide 4 into 12, that's 3 teaspoons of sugar. That's this much sugar. Now let's think about something we all think is healthy. Yogurt, okay? Yogurt with the fruit in the bottom. It's got 48 grams of sugar in that 1 8-ounce cup. 48 grams, people, do the math. You divide 4 into 48 and you get 12. I got a visual. This is 12 teaspoons of sugar. This is how much sugar is in a glass of orange juice, how much sugar is in a glass of apple juice, how much sugar is in a soda. That's a lot of sugar. And if I was going to make the apple juice, I would probably have to juice about, I don't know, 6 or 8 apples. Would you sit down and eat 6 or 8 apples? No. But you're getting all of the juice out of those 6 or 8 apples, all the sugar, and you're leaving the fiber and the pectin. That's going by the wayside, which I need that fiber and pectin to help me slow down that absorption into my bloodstream. So sugar is key, because sugar is going to be one of the things we're going to gravitate to. And the reason why is sugar raises our serotonin. Now, what is serotonin? Serotonin is our feel-good neurotransmitter. And when we eat the sugars, it raises the serotonin, so I feel a little better. Sugar is very calming. It can calm and soothe us because it's like a comfort food. And we got to watch that, because right now is not what we need to be eating, is all of that sugar. And when we think about the sugars, it comes in on the simple carbohydrates. Now, those simple carbohydrates are your breads, your pastas, your cakes, your cookies, things like that. Things made with white flour and sugar. And for all of us here that understand this addiction, sugar is the legal drug. And if I was to put a pile of sugar next to a pile of heroin, next to a pile of cocaine, they all look pretty much the same, and they're doing the same thing. Okay, it's really hard. And sugar, again, is hidden in everything, and our kids are eating it, and it's not helping. Sugar feeds the bad bacteria in the gut. And that, I want you to also know, there's a whole big ecosystem in your gut. And in that gut is where you want the good microbiomes, because there's where your immune system is. 70 to 80% of your immune system is in the small intestine, is in the gut. And you know, another amazing thing most people don't realize is that serotonin, where is that made? Most of us think it's made in the brain. No, it has to travel, because it's made in the gut up to the brain. And just so you know, there's a bidirectional conversation going on between the gut and the brain. And if my gut is healthy, my brain is going to be healthy. So if I suffer from anxiety, depression, or insomnia, those things are going to be exacerbated during this time. And I need to kind of reel that in. And I want to heal up my gut. And the beauty of it is you can heal that gut up. You take the substances out, you take the bad foods out, that gut lining will heal right back up and keep everything in the tube. And that's really important, because when things get out of that tube, that's where your immune system goes out there and attacks it. And it tags it as a foreigner. So you can think of your immune system as your armed forces of your body. Okay, you got the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Coast Guard, who am I forgetting? The Green Beret, the Special Forces, and your Navy SEALs. All of those guys are in your body, and they're the ones that are trying to keep you healthy. So you've got little macrophages that are like little Pac-Man that go around and eat up these viruses. I want to make sure I got plenty of those. And the way that I do that is to eat the foods that are going to boost my metabolism, because my metabolism is driving my immune system. And so those foods are key. And one of the key things to help us, to keep us grounded, is protein. So we need animal sources of protein. We need protein about the size of the palm of our hand 3 times a day. If you're a vegetarian, you're going to be getting it through your vegetarian sources, which would be beans and rice, lots of vegetables. Hopefully you'll eat a little bit of fish and maybe some eggs, because those are some really good things. And the fish, If we're eating good wild-caught salmon, we're getting those omega-3s, which are going to fuel the brain more. The omega-3s are very anti-inflammatory. They're going to help have a healthy cellular membrane. You know, you want a healthy cellular membrane so toxins can get out and the nutrients can get in the cell. And so all of those things fit together. You know, we're not just one thing. It's this whole body. It's this huge spectrum of what's going on in there, and it all affects everything. So if there's a bidirectional conversation going on between the gut and the brain, you have an inflamed gut, you're going to have an inflamed brain. So we want to make sure we get the nutrients in there. Protein is key. Protein gives me those amino acids. They break down into the neurotransmitters. They travel through the body and the brain. They get up into the brain, and they balance out our brain chemistry. You know, if you haven't had a good batch of protein, you might feel a little wonky, a little curt, a little, you know, just not grounded. And we need that protein because what that does is it fuels the brain. It builds our muscles and our tendons. Protein has the amino acids, which are the building blocks for the body. So I need that protein. And then I need to partner that protein with some good vegetables. And actually, I was going to say complex carbs. I have a visual. I hope you can see this. This is your visual. These are your complex carbs. This is what we need. All these different colors, all these different tastes and textures, all these different fibers. These have the vitamins and minerals in here that are going to help partner with the protein. So let's go back to that serotonin. Serotonin is what I need to convert to melatonin so I can sleep. If you back up that serotonin, it starts out in the body with the amino acids coming in from the proteins, and it comes in on tryptophan. And tryptophan gets converted to 5-HTP. 5-HTP gets converted to serotonin, and then it gets converted to melatonin, and now I can sleep. But in order for that 5-HTP and tryptophan to convert to serotonin, I need two key ingredients that come in on these vegetables. I need B6 and zinc. B6 is a vitamin, zinc is a mineral. I need those two because zinc and B6 are two key components for emotional stability. Anybody feeling like they need a little extra support with their emotional stability these days? Yeah, a good batch of vegetables, you know, taking extra vitamins if you feel like you need to can be helpful, but if we do it with the food, we're gonna be okay. And then from there, we've got the protein, we've got the complex carbs, and then we have those fats. And those essential fats are key because those fats, they're going to help us to stay fuller longer, all right? They feed our brain. Our brain is 60 to 70% fat. So we need that good fat. And that's going to help us to have great cellular membranes that are healthy. So those toxins, again, can get out, the nutrients can get in. And if we partner those carbohydrates, fats, and proteins together, we make what I call a metabolically balanced meal. So we're even. And I can't go all the way out here because you can't see it. So we're here. It's like a little teeter-totter. If I have too many carbohydrates, my blood sugar goes way too high and it doesn't last long and then it comes crashing down. But if I take those carbohydrates, like let's say I had some quinoa pasta or, you know, a little pasta, and then I balanced it out with some, you know, some chicken or fish, and then I put some other vegetables in it. Now I'm a little more balanced. See that? So now that gives me what I call a metabolically balanced meal. And it's going to be different for everybody. You might need a little bit more carbohydrate than somebody else. I have a really good friend. We like to go out and exercise. And when we're done, we'll go eat. And when we sit down to eat, I get the beans and rice and the chicken and the avocado and the salad. She can't do the beans and rice. She needs more of the salad, more chicken, more avocado than I do. So she is somebody with her metabolic type. She needs more fats and proteins and less carbs. I'm the other way around. I need more carbs and less fats and proteins. And that's a way to figure out what is your metabolic type. And a way to do that is to determine, you know, what works best for me. If I eat a meal that's way too carbohydrate dominant, meaning I have more carbs than I do fats or proteins, I might feel a little lethargic after my meal. I might feel like I'm still hungry after my meal because I didn't get enough of fat and protein. And those fats and proteins are going to balance us out more. They're going to give us, they break down slower. They delay stomach emptying. They break down slower. So the carbohydrates are like the gasoline for your car, okay? And then you put in that fat and protein. The other way I like to look at it is if you like to build a fire, okay? Your kindling is your carbohydrates because it gets going fast. And then you put the logs on. Those logs are fats and proteins, and they let that fire burn longer, okay? So we need that because that's going to help us go from one meal to the next very easily. Sometimes I don't need a snack between breakfast and lunch. But going from lunch to dinner, it's a longer distance. And around 3 or 4, about this time in the afternoon, what are we doing? Everybody's looking for a cup of coffee and a little snack or something to boost me back up because my blood sugar dipped. Now, it dipped for 2 reasons. I ate about 3 or 4 hours ago with my lunch, or maybe I even skipped lunch and didn't eat it at all, which is not going to be a pretty picture. That's when we get really frustrated, we get curt, we get irritable, tired, and cranky, or most people call it hangry. Right? So you want to make sure that you keep that blood sugar balanced. So if I wake up in the morning and I'm not that hungry, I say have a nice glass of water. And that leads me to hydration. We need a big glass of water in the morning, a little bit of lemon juice in there. That's going to alkalize the system, tickle the liver a little bit, get you going. And it's also going to bring your level up because you want to drink your weight divided in half in ounces of water per day. Now that's a lot of water. And for me to do that, I got to start out the day, I don't have a water glass here, with a nice big glass of water. And then I drink about a cup of water maybe every hour. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to be looking at this going, oh dear, I didn't drink any water and I got to drink this and I'm going to be up all night. I'm not going to be able to sleep. So you want to make sure that you're getting that water throughout the day. And the number one reason why is, there you go, Jeremy. The number one reason why is you could have headaches and fatigue, and that could be as a result of dehydration. If you're not pooping every day, you could be dehydrated. And you got to have a bowel movement every day, people, because that's just not fun when you don't. And you're supposed to, because things have to come out of the body. All right. So if I'm not drinking enough of water, I could be constipated. I could be dehydrated. I am dehydrated, constipated, have a headache, fatigue. I can't think very clearly. I'm not focused. So water is key. And then the other thing is sleep. Okay. Because sleep is amazing. And sleep, we are a stressed out, super busy, hyper caffeinated society, modern world. And we're not getting our sleep. And this situation right now is having a big impact on us. So we need to get that sleep in because you need 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And it's not that, okay, I haven't ever slept that long. I don't need that much. We rejuvenate when we sleep. In fact, when you sleep, your brain has these little things in there. I can never remember the name, excuse me, but I want to say, oh, I can't remember, but it's like little chimney sweeps and they're going through your brain and they're cleaning up all the debris. That can't happen unless I have, and I'm in my REM sleep. Okay, so I need to get to bed early enough to have that REM sleep. Between 1 and 3 in the morning is when the liver is rejuvenating itself in Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine. You have to be asleep for that to happen. And our liver is our toxic dump site. It has to take substances that are so toxic and break them down into less toxic substances so we can then excrete them out of the body through our urine, our feces, and our sweat. So I want my liver in tip-top shape. And I have to make sure that I'm taking care of that. And I do that by eating foods that are loaded with nutrients. You know, a lot of times we eat foods that are devoid of nutrients. We're eating the simple carbs, we're eating the junk foods. Those are the things that are going to actually deplete our immune system. And they're going to make our body have to find what it needs inside the body. All right, I could start eating away at my own body if I'm not getting all those nutrients in. And so I want to make sure that I'm getting in at least 7 to 9 servings of vegetables a day. Now, for most of you that don't know me, I'm a tall nutritionist. I'm about 5'11", and that's a tall order even for me. So I get those vegetables in the morning. I'll load them up into a smoothie. I might saute them with my eggs. Or you know what I do? I tell a lot of my clients, eat your dinner for breakfast. Many people will have breakfast for dinner, but would you consider dinner for breakfast? And that would be better for us because at dinner, what are we getting? We're getting a nice hunk of protein. We're getting some complex carbs, usually like a yam or some brown rice or some quinoa or maybe even a baked potato. And then there you're having some sauteed or steamed vegetables or roasted vegetables. That's what we need. And if we did that 3 times a day, that would be amazing. And so I want to boost my immune system, not only for now, but for in the future, because this is not the last time we're going to experience something like that. We had the SARS, we had the MERS, we had the swine flu. These bugs are coming around and we need to boost ourselves. So if anything, this is a time where if we haven't taken very good care of ourselves, we need to jump on the bandwagon, do it now. And you don't have to, it doesn't have to be a big, big thing. You know, I'm just thinking, if you wake up in the morning, how many people are kind of happy they don't have to do all the commute right now? You know, you're not going Mach 5 with your hair on fire down 101 and all these other highways around here. And you've got plenty of time. So wake up in the morning, start a daily practice. Maybe you just wake up and you just sit and do some left nostril breathing. Left nostril breathing will lower your anxiety like a dimmer switch in about 90 seconds. Okay, you might pick up a little yoga practice. Go outside and just sit in the morning sun and let it shine on your face, because that helps a lot of your, gets your pineal gland going, and it's really grounding if we get that morning sun on our face. So maybe you have time now because you don't have to jump in the car and zoom off. Hopefully you allowing your time, you know, between your Zoom calls. Isn't that funny? We're not zooming off in the car, but now we're zooming on the computer. And so the other thing we got to do is watch that computer time, because this is a powerful machine. And these electromagnetic fields, they're wreaking havoc on us. We are vibrational beings. And this is a vibrational world. So we have to make sure that we're regulating our screen time. And if you're using your phone, you don't want it like this. You want your headset on, because the further away it is from you, the better. All right. And that goes also with TV. If I'm watching the news and I'm getting all wound up, turn that sucker off. Turn to your family. Enjoy time with the family, because that TV, it'll just spin you right out. And that's not helping your immune system. What really boosts the immune system is a lot of laughing and a lot of fun. Okay. As we all know, laughter is the best medicine. And that's going to generate those really good cytotoxins that are going to be there. We get good cytotoxins. We have a cytotoxic storm when we get sick, but we build good cytotoxins when we're sleeping and when we're in community with others. So we have to get community with the people that we're with, you know, and that's hard to do. So you have to make sure that you're keeping your blood sugar balanced so that you're in a better mood to deal with all those people that you're with. You know, I'm just thinking about something. I grew up in a really big family, and boy, am I glad this didn't happen then. Because I don't know if we would have made it through. I have 8 brothers and sisters, and I think that would have been the end of us. But anyways, you have to take care of you so you can take care of your family and your friends better. And that's why, you know, when you think about it, you put your oxygen mask on the plane so you can help out others. So by creating like a morning practice where you are getting up, doing some yoga, doing some meditation, doing some prayer, that's going to ground you and let you land. And while you're doing that, the thoughts will come in. What am I going to have for just a little bit of something to eat? If I'm really hungry in the morning, make a nice meal. If I'm not that hungry, I really just need like a little snack just to get me through. Then I need to know I'm going to have a lunch, and I'm going to need to plan my dinner. And if I need a snack between lunch and dinner, I'm going to have something good. Hummus and carrots would be great. A hard-boiled egg, a little turkey wrapped up with some avocado would be great. Sprinkle a little sea salt on there. I need that snack because it's going to ground me back, bring me even again. And if I go from breakfast to lunch and I feel a little wonky around 10, have a nice glass of water again. You know, make a little cup of warm water. That stuff is delicious. Warm water is awesome. And your body does better with warmer water. It doesn't have to heat it up. So I know how much we love our ice water, but every now and again, have just a little room temperature water, because that's easier on the system. But if you started your day with a nice little morning practice, had a little something to eat, did a few Zoom calls, head outside, go get some fresh air, get some walking. You can walk, you can ride your bike. You know, we need that physical exercise. I mean, I think the beauty of this whole thing is that I've seen more people outside walking and riding their bikes. It's awesome. And so we need to do that, because we need movement. That stimulates the immune system. That stimulates the lymphatic system to keep moving around and flush all those toxins. So we need to get that half an hour every day, half hour, 45 minutes. Take a walk, find a bench, do some push-ups, you know, figure out a way to work out do some push-ups on a bench, your back arms, your front arms. You can do lunges and walking lunges. It's easy. And there's so many programs right now online to help you with yoga and meditation and exercise. And it's all free. So this is a perfect time for that. And then make sure you get to bed by 10, because you're probably getting up at, you know, Vicki, you were up very early this morning helping people. So we want to make sure we get our rest in so that we're ready to go the next day. And that sleep is going to also help to boost that immune system. So sleeping is key for that. In fact, if we sleep, we're going to have more balanced blood sugar. We're going to be leaner, happier. We're going to have a better sex drive. And who knows? You know what's happening out there. This sheltering in is bringing us closer and closer. So what we want to do is make sure we're getting that sleep in there, and we're getting restorative sleep, which means you're in bed by 10, really asleep by midnight. And so when 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock hits, your liver can rejuvenate and your body can can be strong and boost you. And on the other side of this thing, you're going to be a powerful new version of you. So I hope that helps. I think I'm at time, and I thank you for listening, and I wish you a lot of luck and enjoy your water.
Thank you so much, Francis. That was awesome. So I want to invite everybody to go ahead and throw your questions in the Q&A if you haven't already. And we've got some in there. So Francis, you ready for some questions?
Sure.
Okay, awesome. So the first one is, what advice do you have for people who normally overeat and are now at home constantly with this issue? How can they recover from their food issue during this time? It's likely not a simple answer, but any tips would help.
I would say that's an excellent question, and thank you for asking, number one. And the key would be to start your day with breakfast. Make sure you get some protein in there, because that's going to help you ward off your cravings later in the day, and then drink the water. And you kind of have to have that conversation with yourself where, am I emotionally hungry? Am I physically hungry? And right now we're going to be emotionally hungry. It's not going to be easy. If you are having cravings, find something other than the cookies and that kind of thing. And, I had a colleague tell me years ago, you can't bring the enemy home. So if it's not there, I can't eat it. All right. And then there are some supplements. There's something called glutamine, which is an amino acid that you can actually open the capsule and put it under your tongue. And it'll take away your cravings for sugar. And it'll take away your cravings for cigarettes, and takes away your cravings for alcohol. It's a powerful, powerful thing. And it's a twofer because it also heals that gut lining. But the thing is we just really need to, if you feel like you just can't not eat that and you have a moment, go take a walk. Go do some quiet meditation. Get yourself a nice cup of tea, sit down and have a nurturing conversation with yourself, because you got to tap into what's going on in there that's making me want to do that. And also land in the fact that you're safe, you're in your home, this is going to pass. And this might be a wonderful opportunity to really connect with yourself on that level. I hope that helps.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Francis. So the next one from Danielle is, does green tea help with weight loss? What does it do? I like to find a drink other than water that is low calorie.
Nice. Yes, green tea can be helpful with weight loss. It has something in there called theanine, and it helps to be very thermogenic. So it's helping you to kind of burn fat. So that's a wonderful way to get some good nutrients in there. Lots of antioxidants in there. And matcha green tea is another good one. And I like to make my little matcha green tea with a little coconut milk or a little almond milk, and whisk that up, put a couple drops of stevia in there. And it's a nice little snack, a nice little beverage that's, it doesn't have a lot of caffeine in there. So green tea is awesome. It's really good for us. And again, that theanine is another calming amino acid that can be very helpful. So it's not as stimulating as a cup of coffee, which would be better for us. In the coffee, you're getting a little more caffeine and stimulation, but with the green tea, it's a milder version of the caffeine, but it has all those antioxidants in there to offset that. So way to go on the green tea.
All right. Awesome. So this next one from Sue says, how do you figure out if you should eat more simple carbs or fats?
Okay. So simple carbs or fats. You're probably thinking, Sue, maybe more of the complex carbs, because the simple carbs are my sugars and those kinds of things. Okay. So if I need to eat more carbohydrates, fats, we need about the 4 to 6 tablespoons a day. And that's about the size of your thumb. Those carbohydrates, you'll figure it out. You might find, Sue, that you might have just a 1/4 cup of brown rice with your dinner or your lunch. And you decide that after you're done eating, you feel a little slightly more hungry, or you don't have enough energy, you might need 1/3 of a cup. But sometimes I tell people to look at it like a golf ball size or 2 golf ball sizes. Do I need half that yam or the whole yam? And I do need to put the butter on there, because that's going to help me assimilate those fat-soluble vitamins that are in there. But you playing with it. It's like Goldilocks. Not too much, not too little, just right. And I'm always playing with it. Okay? So you find that after you've eaten, you feel satiated. You don't want for anything else, and you have energy and focus, and you're not just bloated and going, oh, I ate too much. So one of the key things is to chew your food a lot. The more you chew it, the more you give it surface area for those enzymes to work, and that'll make you eat slower, and it takes you longer. That way you'll fill up before you overeat. But if you find that you eat a meal and you're really tired and lethargic, you probably had too many fats and proteins and not enough of carb to balance it out. And it's hard to do, but you can do it. And it takes a little sleuthing. So what I recommend is people use a food, mood, and poop log to figure out how foods work for them and how much did I have where I felt better.
Excellent. All right. Thank you. Let's see. What's the next one in here? So this one says, I am active and I eat healthy, but I feel hungry all the time. I do eat and love breakfast, but I don't eat lunch.
When does your hunger hit would be my question. You're eating a big breakfast, you're not eating lunch, that would be why you're hungry all the time. If you're athletic and you're burning up those calories, you need that fuel, right? You wouldn't get in your car on empty and drive anywhere. You'd go straight to the gas station. So I would recommend getting in a lunch in there. And you don't need a lot. If you're eating a good breakfast, that's great. You probably can go 3 or 4 hours and then have your lunch. But at lunch, you need some good complex carbs. You need some good vegetables and a nice source of protein. And that's going to keep you. The reason why you're hungry is your blood sugar dipped. It's way lower than it should. It's below the line. Okay, you're down here. You need to be sailing around up here all day long. Does that make sense? The minute I get below here, I'm not happy down here. I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm cranky. And if you're an athlete, you got to have that food because you need that fuel to keep you going. And you might find that if you have a little more fat and a little more protein and not as many carbs, that'll keep you more balanced and less hungry.
All right. Awesome. So the next one is one that I actually agree with. I have this question as well. So thank you, Cynthia, for asking it. And she says, I enjoy sparkling water. Is that okay to drink a lot of?
That's a biggie. If you're drinking more sparkling water than regular water, I would say you kind of need to tip the scale back the other way. All right. That sparkling water, we love that carbonation. All right. A lot of people don't like plain water. They like the carbonation because it gives it some sustenance to it. But that carbonation can be a problem. And it can eat away at our minerals and our bones. And so I want to make sure, I love carbonated water myself, but I want to make sure that I'm not drinking more of that than I am regular water because that's what the body needs is just straight, pure water or good filtered water.
Awesome. Okay, good. Good to know. Thank you, Francis. Let's see here. So what does a healthy diet look like for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? I eat smoothies for breakfast, but only salads at lunch drive me nuts. What does a healthy lunch and dinner look like? And should we be snacking?
You can snack. Some people say, no, don't snack. But, if you're hungry and you need something, you want to have a decent snack. So a good snack, again, vegetables and hummus, nut butter and an apple, hard-boiled egg, avocado with some turkey because you're getting a little fat, a little protein. There's your snack. If you're doing a smoothie in the morning, that's a good thing. You're getting a lot of nutrients in there. And salads for lunch, you got to get creative with those salads. And maybe what you're not having is a salad, but you're having, a nice hunk of meat, a nice hunk of protein, some fish, some egg. And then, think about whatever you made for dinner last night. Sometimes I just make extra, so I have that for lunch the next day. Okay, and now this is it's easier than before because we're home. If you're a cook, you like to do that, that's going to be easier for you. But if not, you might struggle a little bit. And I would buy a whole cooked chicken at the grocery store and make sure I get the vegetables. I want the broccoli, the cauliflower, the zucchini, the asparagus, and you got to get creative. Use your herbs, make some different little dressings that you can put on there so it adds pizzazz. I'm actually doing a liver cleanse this week, and I'm surprised at what I've created. And it's very interesting because I'm eating a lot of vegetables. I'm not a vegetarian, and that's okay, but I'm getting in the protein through the nuts and the seeds. And it's just you got to get creative. And a salad every day for lunch can be frustrating. But if you've got extra soup or stew that you've made with a nice hunk of leftover meat or cold, I eat my yams and my potatoes. I put those in my salad and make a robust salad that way. But it's getting creative, and maybe you do a little Pinterest searching for some good lunches and dinners. But it's basically the same thing that you would do for dinner for lunch. just for different variety.
Okay, excellent. Well, that was all the questions in the Q&A. So Francis, I just want to thank you again for coming on and covering the importance of food, especially right now during these times. So just to wrap up, everybody, I will email you guys a list of resources from today's presentation. We'll post the video online for everybody. And also, again, I am going to put a survey in that email. It doesn't take very long. So if you could complete it, that would go a long way for us so that we can deliver you guys the best content possible. Also, if you need to reach out to any of us, please don't hesitate. All four of us are in the space to help people with whatever's presenting. So please do reach out. And we will also notify you guys for next week's presentation with all the links, the presenter, and all that good stuff. So be on the lookout from an email from me with all that. And like I said last week, wherever you're at in your journey, wherever you are in your life, and wherever you're going on your journey, we're just really grateful that today you chose to spend your time with us. So we are really appreciative. Panelists, you got any final thoughts?
I just want to say thank you, Francis. I got a lot out of it. I want more.
Anytime, darling, call me. Let's talk.
I will. Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Francis. I always love hearing you. And I hope that next time we have you, you can also focus up more on the grief part. I know that it's a short time because you have so much information, but that's just an amazing piece that you bring. And always love more of that. And I would love to have you share that with people too. And then to everybody that joined that's still here, if anybody needs Francis' contact or any contacts or resources, reach out to any of us, Vicki, Jeremy, or myself, or even TJ, who had to be missing today, but normally he's here, and we have a lot of these contacts ourselves, and we'll be happy to share. So thank you. And
Awesome.
Thanks for hosting, Jeremy. You rock.
Thank you, Jeremy. And thank you, everybody. I appreciate you taking your time and being here, and I appreciate you guys asking me to join you. And I'm wishing everybody well and holding good space for everybody. You're all on my prayers.
Awesome.
Awesome.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you all so much. We're going to sign off now, but take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Like TJ would say, honor whatever comes up for you. And we will see you guys next week.
Awesome. Thank you,
Bye,
Jeremy.
guys.
Bye.